guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is about recipes. It's going to be a quick one because there isn't too much to say on it, but a lot of people ask me how I pick my recipes, so I'm just going to give you the lowdown on what kind of process I go through. However, it is very simple and probably a little bit self-explanatory for some people, so it might not be too complicated, but it's just a few steps that I consider every time I try a new recipe. Please excuse the motorbike, there is someone revving around my house. So yeah, and I just wanted to quickly mention that merch is coming out tomorrow. I'm so excited. I'm not actually wearing it right now because I was eating some chocolate and I don't want to get it dirty, but it is on the hanger, and I am going to be doing a video which will go up tomorrow morning, which is going to be showing you the merch basically. So that will be going up tomorrow. I'm thinking like 1 o'clock, and then the actual release, I feel like, haven't released, like, confirmed it yet, but I think it's going to be around 4 or 5 p.m. tomorrow, just because then people have finished work and like I'm more available because I won't be doing as much in the afternoon. So yeah, I'm thinking get the YouTube video up in the morning afternoon so that you can see all the pieces in person. I'll try them all on for you guys, show you all of them in detail and explain prices as well. So make sure you hit the bell and subscribe if you want to watch that, and if you want to hear about merch in general, because that will be where I'm explaining everything. All the stuff is going to be on my website, which I'll link down below. It's sweetthingsbyamy.co.uk, and also follow my Instagram for updates, because that is again where I'll be posting stuff on my stories about the merch. So that is going to be, I've got another post going up this evening which might already be up by the time this goes up. So yeah, if you go and follow my Instagram at sweetthingsbyamy, you'll see all the updates on there if you want to keep updated. So now we've got that out of the way, I'm going to get into how to choose your recipes. So I've got my notes here and we're going to be working through these. They're very simple notes, so please excuse if my explanations aren't that great. So we've got the first one, which is make a few variations of the product, because I have never settled on my first recipe. It's not necessarily due to choice. Every time I make a recipe, it never goes right on the first go. Even if I do the same recipe the second time, it just never goes right, and I could do it exactly the same and it will never go right on the first go. Every single recipe that I've decided on went right on the second time. It's really weird, don't know why, but it just happens to me. So I would say make a few variations, partly also because even if you're not making the same product, I've tried various different products and the second product always works, but this probably won't be the same for you guys. But I always find that if you make something a couple of times, you could think that the first one is really good, but then the second one might be better. So I just find, don't necessarily set on the first one. Always try at least a second recipe so that you can compare, and then you can say, right, I really like the second one, or I really like the first one, I prefer that. So definitely try more than one, because you never know how good the second one will be until you try it. The second point is to assess the taste and the look of the product, because something can look really nice but it could taste like horrid, is what I'm going to say, because I don't know, I don't want to curse, but it could taste absolutely horrible. So yeah, things can look good but taste horrible. I've had sponges, cake sponges, obviously not for customers, when I've been testing out recipes, and they have looked so amazing and like spongy and lovely, and then I just cut into it and it was just dense, really dense and horrible. So I would definitely say that you need to make sure that it looks and tastes nice, of course. And if you ever want a tip for making your sponges look nice around the edges, you either use release spray on your tins. I'm just a bit lazy to buy this, so I go for the parchment paper method because I'm old school. So you just parchment paper the bottom and the sides and use PME tins, and then it makes them look lovely when they come out, especially if you're doing a naked cake and you need the outside to look a bit nicer. So yeah, make sure that the taste is nice and the look. And the taste can be very difficult. That's why you usually have to make things multiple times, because I always want to make sure that the taste is absolutely perfect. The next thing is, can you make it multiple times without fail? So is it easy to recreate? I don't like when I make something a second time and it's not right, and sometimes I've had recipes where I've used them a couple of times and then one time they go wrong, and then after that they keep going wrong, and I think, right, something's changed in this recipe and it just doesn't work anymore. So then I switch to something else. So you want to make sure it's easy to recreate, especially if you're doing it in high demand. Like if you make a lot of brownies, you can't be having batches being raw or overcooking or just not tasting nice. So you just can't have that mishap. And also try not to switch ingredients. Things like cocoa powder and flour, not so much. Obviously if it's plain flour, make sure you're not using like self-raising or something like that. But in terms of like say brownies, cocoa powder, use the same each time, because I really notice a difference if I change it in terms of how sweet they are and how bitter they are. With cakes, I would say the vanilla extract and vanilla essence make a difference. I use essence, it's more like watery rather than an oil. And also your butter. I use stalk all the time. I never use butter for cakes just because I prefer stalk, and that is the branded stalk. I sometimes use the Perfect for Cakes, which is an Aldi like own brand, but I don't usually use it in cakes just because I worry that the rising of the cake will be affected, whereas with brownies they don't rise. Well, they do, but not very much. Whereas cakes, obviously, the whole point of it is that it rises to get air in it. So yeah, always use the same ingredients, because as soon as you start switching them out, this goes for chocolate as well. But things like sugar, as long as it's the same type of sugar, so caster, brown sugar, anything like that, as long as it's the same like category of sugar, then it's fine. Same with flour, but cocoa powder, chocolate, butter, and vanilla I always find makes a difference. The next thing is make sure you rewrite to get rid of extra information. I find that the whole point of a recipe that you see online is, no offense to anyone that writes recipes, even if you're watching, probably not, but I find that a lot of recipes are rewritten to a point where it's meant to make it look like it's not a copy of someone else's. And if I'm very honest, a lot of recipes are exactly the same. Like brownies, mine and most others have 6 ingredients, and that is it. And I think that's right, 6 or 7, one of the two, I can't count right now. But they have that amount of ingredients and they've all got it. And they've all got slightly different measurements, but they also make slightly different quantities and portions. But if you made them all make, say, 6 brownies, they would all be exactly the same. But in order for someone to actually say that it's their recipe, they have to add all this extra information. So if you're trying a recipe, I'd recommend rewriting it. I take out all the extra information, anything you don't need, because a lot of it is like, I don't know, melt this to this, use a separate bowl for this, put it to one side to sit, then mix these 2 bowls together. Whereas I just say, mix the eggs and the, I don't know, sugar, and then melt the chocolate, mix that together. It's a lot simpler to follow. Like, it's literally like 5 steps and it's done, and there's no like long paragraphs of information. I have all the temperatures and everything on there still, but it's just not excessive information and like really wordy words. So I just like to take all of that out there, just because I think it overcomplicates a recipe. So yeah, rewrite it, and that also makes it your own as well. And to be fair, mine are made my own, which leads into this next point, because I change ingredients, I change measurements. I don't think I found any recipe which is perfect. All of my recipes have been changed in some way, whether it is taking any milk out, taking any things like oil or lemon juice, stuff like that, random things that get added in, baking powder, bicarbonate soda. Some recipes don't need it, so I just take it out. So it really just does depend on how it turns out. But I've done it where I've made it the first time exactly as the recipe is, and then the second time, usually the one which goes right, I just take things out and try it out, and a lot of the time I prefer it. So yeah, I amend all the recipes anyway, so they are no longer belonging to the person that wrote it, because they're all rewritten by me. You can use recipes off the internet unless they explicitly say, which I've never found, but always look out for it, is that they explicitly say you cannot use this to resell. But I've never seen that on any websites or on any like cookbooks. Not that I use any cookbooks, just because I've never found any good recipes in there, and you also have to have the book in order to look at the recipe, whereas online there is a multitude of recipes available. So yeah, I rewrite them all to make them my own, and then it means that I don't feel like I'm copying anyone's recipe because I have rewritten it. The next thing is get a second opinion. I don't sell anything that I don't like. This is just personal preference. I just find if I can't eat something, that I'm gonna sell, I know that I don't like a lot of things, so I am a bit difficult like that. But if I don't like something, then I don't know if it tastes good because I don't like it. Like, it's kind of like a bias. I don't like it. And no offense, but I don't want to leave the final opinion to my friends and family to decide. So when I say to them, like, oh, do you like this? If I haven't tasted it, then I don't really want to just like put all my trust in them and say like, oh, okay, you love it. Oh, you know, they could just be being really nice and like not lying to, well, they could be lying to me, and just saying, you know, oh, it tastes lovely, and it doesn't. So because I don't like it, I can't try it. So I always have to try it. That's why I'm trying to find, if anyone knows, this is really random, but if anyone knows where to find vegetarian marshmallows, please comment down below. I'm trying to find them. I'm vegetarian and like partly vegan because I don't have milk, and I'm trying to make Rocky Road, but I can't make it because I can't eat it, and I can't test the recipe out and all of that because I can't eat marshmallows like normal ones, because of the gelatin. So if you know anywhere where I can get like vegan or vegetarian ones, then please let me know down below, because I really want to start doing Rocky Road because I used to love it, but I can't eat it anymore. Anyway, back onto the subject. Get a second opinion, but also I feel like you need to like it yourself, because then you are the owner of the business, so you can say, right, I know that this is good. Because I worry that if someone comes to me and says, you know, you made me a brownie and I really didn't like it, and they trying to leave me a bad review, I can't then argue and say, well, I know that this is a really good recipe. I've never had anyone like give bad feedback before. Whereas if I've never tried it, then how will I know if it's any good? So that's my argument on that. But yeah, give it to friends, family, try out different recipes, and like maybe do it for people's birthdays. So like if one of your siblings or parents or kids doesn't normally have a big family like birthday cake, then maybe this year you say, right, I'm gonna make their cake because I want to try out a recipe, and it also gives me a chance to practice all my skills, get photos, and then obviously you would do it for free or a small charge like ingredient costs, and then that just means that it gives you photos, and it also means that you can test out a recipe. So that's what I did a couple of times. I just charged ingredients, and then it gave me a chance to test it out, and they obviously got a nice cake, which they wouldn't normally. They'd normally buy from like Tesco's or somewhere, even though now they're all converted and they all buy from me, which is amazing. The last one, wrapping this up, is rewrite in terms of sizing. So a lot of my recipes, they're all like 2 layers of cake, and it's like, no offense, but I never do 2-layer cakes. It's always at least 4, maybe sometimes 5. So I rewrite all of that, and I work out the measurements for the different sizes, so 4, 6 and 8 inch, and then I work out the ingredient measurements, write them all on the same recipe page so that I can have it all on one page, but I've got all the same, like, method, and then where it's got the ingredients, that's like a standard 6-inch cake, which is my most popular, and then at the side you can have like 4-inch and 8-inch, and then just the ingredients, so that you know, because the method will be the same. But yeah, I would say rewrite in order to match up all the ingredients, because a lot of the time they're like 2 layers of 4-inch cake or 2 layers of 6, and if you're like, right, I need to do 4 layers of 8, then you're going to be trying to figure that out. It's just easier to have it all set so that you don't make any mistakes. And again, you're probably going to have to try this out, because I've had some where they say 2 layers of 8-inch cake, and I find that they are 2 like 1-inch layers. They're really, really thin. So what I do is I do 2 layers, which is now 4, because I've obviously doubled all of mine to make it suit, but I use that 2 layers of 8-inch for 2 layers of 6, because I personally think it's not big enough for 8-inch layers. So again, you need to try out recipes in different tins to make sure that it makes enough for an 8-inch tin or a 6-inch tin, etc. But yeah, that's everything. So I'm hoping that answered people's questions, because a lot of people ask me how I pick recipes, and yeah, honestly, it's just trial and error. A lot of money wasted, but it is trial and error. And even to this day, I sometimes make a recipe and out of the blue it goes wrong, and I don't understand why, and it'll be something to do with like you know, the oven temperature, you know, I accidentally put it too low or high, or it'll be that like the butter wasn't fully melted or something stupid like that. So you still have mistakes later on. They're never going to be like foolproof, because you can occasionally make mistakes with them, or they can just go wrong for no reason, which I sometimes have. But yeah, most of the time they are completely foolproof and you shouldn't have any issues, but you might have the odd one. But yeah, hopefully this will help you pick a recipe which is pretty foolproof, because I do get this question a lot. So I wanted to do this video for you guys so that I can kind of like answer that question, and now when people ask I can say I have a video on it. There's going to be some really good videos coming up about business. I have all my notes here. I've got pages and pages. I've got one about taking the leap to start a business, and I've got one which is a checklist for starting a business. So I did that starting a business in 2020, so I wanted to do a follow-up, and I also wanted to make it kind of shorter so that people can flick through and be like, right, it's a quick checklist, and it will also be slightly updated in case anything's changed. So there's that, and then there's also business mindset, which I thought was quite a good one because I recently watched a interview with Grace Beverley and Stephen Bartlett. It was like a podcast which was really, really informative from this year. So if you haven't watched that, go and check it out. And I just resonated with a lot of her opinions about business. So I thought that I would do a video on various topics that she spoke about on the podcast, because I think that they would be really like informative things for you guys. So yeah, if you want to like and subscribe, then you'll hear about those videos when they come out. And there's also another one which is advice for running a business, and then the business mindset one which I mentioned, which is talking about like the mindset that you need to be in to have a successful business, because there are a lot of things that come into it. It doesn't just sort of happen on its own. But yeah, if you want to see those videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, because they will be coming up, some of them this week and then some of them next week. And we've also got a merch video coming out tomorrow with the merch. So I hope you enjoyed, and make sure you go and follow my Instagram if you want to get all the updates on the merch tomorrow, because I'll be posting on stories all day. So I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!